Hello, everyone. Welcome to the market simulation call for summer 2021 release. My name is Anshuman Vaidya. I'm your market simulation coordinator, and today is April 29th. Calls and webinars are recorded for stakeholder convenience, allowing those who are unable to attend to listen to the recordings after the meetings. The recordings will be publicly available on the ISO webpage for a limited time following the meetings. The recordings and any related transcription should not be reprinted without ISO permission. We'll go through the following agenda today. We'll talk about map stage availability. We'll talk about the timelines for different market simulation initiatives. We'll talk about the initiatives separately. We'll go through the registration details after that. And then we'll refresh what is changing in interfaces with this release. And then we'll talk about next steps. For map stage availability, we have an extended outage for Sierra UI and API, which is going through till 4/30, 30th April. Other than that, we don't have any other maintenance schedule currently. Any questions regarding the map stage availability? All right.
Yes. Hi, Anshuman. Hi, this is Chun Yu. Can you hear me?
Hi, Chun Yu. Yes.
Yes. So that means the end of the, so we expect Sierra to be out to end of the 30th.
I'm sorry. I'm hearing a lot of back noises. Can everybody go to please mute and just Chun Yu, if you're asking questions, can you unmute yourself? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to know if it's so. We don't expect that Sierra will be back until probably April or May 1st.
That is correct. I mean, maintenance scheduled till tomorrow. That is a Friday. I'm not sure if you're going to log in over the weekend, but we are planning to get the system back up by tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding map stage availability? Okay, moving on. So as promised in the last meeting, I have included all the dates that were mentioned by Adrian. We are dividing the Resource Adequacy Enhancements Track 1 project into 2 phases. Phase 1 will have scenario 1, 2, 3, and phase 2 will have scenario 4 and 5. The structured simulation for phase 1 will happen on 11th of May and 13th of May. And for phase 2, for resource adequacy, the structured simulation will happen on 15th of June. Phase 1 will go live on 3rd of June, and phase 2 will go live on 30th June. For summer 2021 readiness project, we have 3 phases. Phase 1 has scenario 6, 7, and 8. Phase 2 has scenario 1, 2, and 5. And phase 3 has scenario 3 and 4. Now, phase 1 will be available on MapStage by 20th of May. Similarly, phase 2 on 27th of May and phase 3 on 14th of June. While we'll do the structured simulation scenarios for phase 1 on 20th May and 25th of May. For phase 2, we'll do it on 1st of June and 3rd of June. And for phase 3, 15th June and 17th June. Phase 1 and 2 will go live on June 15, and phase 3 will go live on June 30. Any questions related to these timelines?
Hi, Anshuman. This is Chun Yu. Yes, I do have questions, quite a few questions. So looking at the schedule, I do want to ask you, for example, for RA track 1, the phase 1, when you say the structure test scenario executed on the 11th and the 13th, so can we execute unstructured on the 11th and the 13th?
Right. So when I say 5/11 and 5/13, 5/11 is the day we'll actually perform the structured simulation, and 5/13 is a buffer day if we didn't finish any scenarios. So you're welcome to do any unstructured scenarios on 13th.
On the same during the same time, during the same trade day?
On 13th. I would prefer if we concentrate on structured scenarios on 11th for phase 1 resource adequacy. That's what you're asking, right?
Yes.
You can
execute, this is
but
will apply to, I think this might be applied to everything because RA is the one doesn't have the start date different than the structure. So let's finish RA first.
Right.
And Shuman, this is Alex. I remember I told that we're not going to have structured scenarios. All scenarios that are written in the scenario document are suggestions. So ISO will implement tight system condition on a certain time of the day, and the rest is responsibility of market participants. They need to adjust their bits accordingly to the scenario, because to do so many participants at the same time, we cannot call it structured scenarios. Generally, the system will be ready to function as described in BRS and in scenarios, but it's market participants' responsibility to set up bits and units such that certain scenario triggered and certain outcome is available. That's all.
Right. Thank you, Alex. Alex is leading our summer 2021 readiness project. So the structured scenarios, as we were talking about here, are mainly setting up tight system conditions. We will set that up while we're doing all these three phases. That's the extent of what ISO actions are there in the cases. Rest, any more setup that is needed that are explicitly written in the market simulation cases, so market participants would be more than welcome to set those settings.
Okay, so
any questions on that?
Yeah, let me see if I really understand this correctly. So, okay, when it comes to May 11, okay, so it's going to in certain hour. So once getting the time is near, you're going to put the trade day and the trade hour for the scenarios you're going to execute. So in those times, you're going to set up you're going to trigger the tight system condition, so you can execute the structure. So my question is, so that during those trade hours, during those hours, sounds like we should not be mingled with the structure. We should not run the unstructured during those times.
So when you're talking about 5/11, so Chinu, when you're talking about 5/11, you're talking about phase 1 for...
I'm talking about in general sense, because when you have structure, then, I mean, the reason I asked is that we have a lot of number of test cases. We really want to know, is that when come to May 11, we good to go, or we have to wait until so dedicate, a different time frame for us. So I think that level of communication. I understand this. You guys just come up with the plan, but if you can come up with that level of communication, we'll really appreciate it. So we know. If someone will say, okay, if you don't want us to execute on the May 11th, we will start on the May 12th. Stuff like that.
Okay. Thank you, Chinu. So let me re-clarify a couple of things. First, when we're talking about creating tight system conditions, that was related to only summer 2021 readiness project and not related to resource adequacy enhancements track 1 project. Having said that, we would like to concentrate on 11th of May on phase 1 doing structured scenarios, and you could start doing unstructured starting 12th of May.
Okay. Okay, that is good to know. And then my question is go down to summer 2021 readiness. So understand on the start day, you have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Those days is different, mostly different with when the structure test scenario is going to be executed, for example, for phase 2. So it's available on the 27th, but the structure will not run until June 1st. So here's my question. When come to May 27th, it is okay for us to start executing the unstructured. And this
Yes.
also means we may ask you for coordination to trigger tight conditions as well.
Yes, sure. If you could let us know earlier, then we could even try to do that.
Okay. So is it okay for you to maybe beginning next week, you can start to put the trade hours on the structure test scenarios?
You're asking that when would we create the system conditions on 527? Do you need the timings?
I think would be good to know. So, for example, if we participate in the structure scenarios, right? Some of the structure test scenarios, that's called out the market participant section. And we plan to participate all of that. And will be nice to know when you're going to trigger the tight system conditions.
Sure thing. Let me discuss it internally and we'll come up with some timings for you. So just to get it right, you're looking for the timings on 527 and onwards and 614 and onwards when we can create the tight system conditions so that you can perform some unstructured testing on the site before the structured scenario happens.
And structure, yeah, and structure. If we were to participate in structure, it would be nice to know what hour you dedicate as the tight system condition. Thank you.
Okay, will do. Thank you, Chinyu.
The tight system condition will be set up for everyone at the same time. So the whole system will be tight. We will come up with the schedule, and most likely it will be afternoon. So somewhere between 2 and 4. But we will send the schedule later.
Perfect. Thank you, Alex. All right. Any other questions that we can talk about here? I do have a description of cases.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me? This is Isaac, I see.
Isaac, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can you go back to the previous slide, please?
Sure.
So yeah, Edison is also in the same situation, where we will be needing additional days for unstructured testing. So what Chinyu just proposed, we would like to, echo that. So I think we have a large set of resources that we would like to basically test through. So so we will need additional time as well. Also, I think last week somebody has proposed the go live date for phase 2 and phase 3 to be together on June 30th. I thought that was a pretty good suggestion and was wondering if CAISO has put any additional thoughts into that.
So we brought up to our executive team, and basically we will plan to stick with June 15th date as of now for phase 1 and 2, giving ample time to do the testing for phase 2 because we will make the code available around 27th of May. So you'll have more than 18 days to actually complete your unstructured testing.
If that's
sorry, Isaac, go ahead.
I think if that's the case, then we will pretty much need every day to have tight system conditions for us to complete those testing in time. Just FYI.
Definitely, we can definitely accommodate that. Let me go back to our team, and as Alex mentioned, he has a rough estimate of when those tight conditions will be. We'll go back and we'll finalize the schedule and we'll let everybody know about that.
So this is Adrian. Let me just respond to this one. Isaac, we understand, I think we heard from you, from Chunyu, and from others about the tightness of this, and we understand the pain that it's on all the sides. At this point, please, if you have some specific, conditions that require more time, send us a city ticket with your issues that you see there, because in absence of your kind of specific feedback and input and request for what you need in terms to be satisfied with the testing and the timeline of this that we offer, we cannot change this. We could make assumptions and we can move on based on the things we see. But what would help us, what we can influence the change of the schedule more than anything is your written feedback to us.
Sure. So I think on our last call, I asked some questions regarding scenario 5, the RDR resources, and I put in a CD ticket describing what we're looking for, right? So just to get a feeling, then we're talking about 50 plus resources that we're trying to test, and each one may have different parameters set up in the RDT. That will give you an idea of how much testing we need just for that one scenario.
Yep. I mean, that's a really great argument. Please, what would help us most is this in a city. That way we can present all this feedback and kind of consider the amount of work or the effort or the, we could have even a further conversations about how we can mitigate that. But until then, in order to influence us in a wider testing window, just please send that specific feedback and description of your needs.
Okay, will do.
I have another additional question. This is Chunyu. So looking the schedule here, the go live day. So for phase 2 of the RA and the phase 3 of the summer, going live in June 30. So is this always in the work, asking first for June 30 go live, or this is actually being extended or going to be part of the request to FERC for extension? I just want to understand whether there will be room or whether this filing has been made to FERC, or is this June 30 always original plan for the portion of the RA and then portion of the summer readiness?
Yeah, very good question, Chunyu. I'll be honest, I don't know the answer. That's actually would be very insightful to know that. We don't have Mohan with us. He's talking to our legal team from those projects perspective. By any chance, Trang, you know the answer to that? If not, then we should find the answer. What's our filing for those? Are we indicating those specific dates in our filings? And in case we can't make them, we have to ask FERC to delay them, or are we asking for different dates?
Adrian, thank you. I don't have the response for that at this point, but we'll take that note to have that information by the RUG if we can.
Okay, we should, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That will be very helpful in terms of we also, if the filing hasn't been done, then we probably also going to ask CAISO to reconsider some of the phase 2, maybe can go to June 30. I mean, it's pretty much, it's from without the specific business reason, we just, from looking the schedule from the best practice standpoint, we think that just a 10 days or it doesn't work. Thank you.
Okay. And sorry, before we have more questions, I just, Instrument wanted to have that reminder too about FERC Order 831. our structured simulation schedule and also communicate that while we are on track for, or our schedule shows that we'll be able to support the structured simulation starting May 25th through, and then the 26th and 27th. We also are reserving the next week as a contingency if we need to rerun any of the scenarios on the June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. We can also do that and have those published in market simulation before the go live as well. But we do want to reserve the market sim structured scenarios for that last week of May that we think will be ready. But we wanted to be clear and communicate out that we have planned for contingency to run those scenarios the next week if needed. And I think Ray is on as well, and Anshuman and Adrian, and please feel free to add anything to that comment as well.
Thank you, Trang. I think you covered from my side. I don't have anything else to add. All right. Any questions on any of these projects that we can talk about here, or for Quarter 831 in specific to that?
Hi, this is Noah from Middle River Power. Just a quick question with regards to the other portion of summer readiness on the load export and wheeling priorities. When does the ISO expect to run simulation for that?
Let me go to the scenarios that we have.
So, yes, Anshuman, I can take too. Yeah, so that is not included in the scenarios that are published at this time, and we don't have a schedule yet for the that additional piece that went to the board later, and then we'll also have a separate filing. So on that, we've been communicating and are still at the point where it is TBD. And that one will have, I'm just confirming here, that one will have a later activation and production as well. So if you give me just a minute, I will confirm here what the latest is. So for the export wheeling and load schedule priorities, again, for Market Sim, it will be separate from what we have published here. And the production activation will be by July 15th. So we'll use that as our anchor for, when the Market Sim needs to be started and completed by, Noah. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I mean, looking at sort of this phase 3, it seems like there's not much more time after, phase 3 ends, right? And when phase 3 would go into production activation. So, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Adrian again. Mohan replied to me internally here, and he's saying that we have filed with FERC for all the things that we're saying June 15. That's filed with FERC, and our request was no later than June 15. We haven't filed for the component on June 30th, and I think we plan to file very shortly, and probably we'll have a similar request, like no later than June 30th.
Thank you, Adrian, for the update.
Can I ask a question? Thanks, Adrian, for the update. So if you expect market participants giving more input, in particular for the section, it's going to go to June 15, but having concern of the short test timeline, when do you need us to submit those city tickets to you?
I mean, this week would be good because the earlier we make those decisions, the better for all of us.
Okay.
But
thank you.
Probably early next week is fine too.
Thank you, Adrian.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions that we can talk about here?
Yes, hi, this is Tony Gerard from Power Settlement. I just have a request. There's a lot of information about dates and timing in this presentation. And I'd like to request if you could post it as soon as possible. I try to take notes, but it's really helpful to refer to.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you.
I plan to post it as soon as this meeting is done. Also, I have posted the last week's presentation, which has all those dates incorporated in it.
Okay.
So while I post this, you can use that one, and this one is coming out soon after the meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if there are no other questions on these, I can move forward. The slide is just having more information on the links for the structured scenario documents, business requirement specification documents for all the 3 projects in summer release. And it is also mentioning the structured scenario dates for all the 3 projects. Any questions for the slide? All right. Moving on, as we know that our structured scenario registration details for area enhancement was April 26th. If you still have any more registration information that you want to pass on to us, please do so. We'll do our best to accommodate for that. For FERC 831 and Summer 2021 readiness, the registration details is by May 6th deadline, so please send us information regarding that. Any questions regarding the registration details? All right. This is the system interface changes table that they're going to change with the 3 projects in summer release. We have added more information on all the payloads or all the API service names. So, Trang, do you want to give us an update on that one?
Yeah, so thanks for the feedback. And so you'll see for Oasis, the spelled out report names are there for those referring to the UI. And we're still assessing based on the, we broke out the market sim scenarios by date as well. What we need to do is still identify what that means in terms of availability of those interfaces in map stage. So that's TBD at this point. And then the same is for production, which ones will be ready for June 3rd versus the 30th. We'll have to specify that here too. So I just set those all to June 2021 at this point. Until we are able to clearly map the availability of those with the various drops. Okay. Thanks, Engineer.
Thank you. Any questions regarding the system interface changes? All right. That's all I had for today's meeting. Next meeting is scheduled on May 3rd at 2 p.m. Are there any other questions or CD tickets that I can help with here? Please let me know. Can discuss those.
Hi, this is Noah again. With regards to the portion on the phase 4 with exports, have you guys created the BRS for that yet?
Trang, would you know the answer to this?
Hi, thanks, Noah. That's a great question. So I had it, I had this marked as we were planning the version, so this would be included in summer 2021 readiness BRS version 2.0, and we did plan to publish that this month, and so I'm confirming right now to see if it was actually published at this point. So give me just 1 second. Summer 2021.
Yeah, I do see a BRS 2.0 for non-policy scope.
Yes, so that is going to be the one that includes the export wheeling and load scheduling priorities that was published on 4/23. So the first one for non-policy was version 1.0 that was published on 4/9. And so this 4/23 version is what I have that should reflect the export wheeling and load scheduling priorities. So that is the one.
Hi, Trang. I don't think they're there yet. So
no.
I just checked yesterday.
Yeah, Chunyu, I just let me preempt that. Mohan just replied to me. He's saying that they are trying to post it today.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
sorry for.
Okay. No, it's fine. It actually it's including in that, but it would the whole section says to be updated, so it didn't have anything. Sorry, just don't mean to interrupt, but I just want to make sure that we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I apologize there. Yep, sounds good.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I'm just trying to figure out where to provide some feedback because there seems to be a limitation with regards to one of the, I guess, cyber rules that limits the export from non-RA resources out, and trying to figure out how I can sort of resolve that issue and who I should talk to.
So Noah, are you just looking to refer to that BRS just to confirm your understanding, or if there's an, something that needs to be discussed now or a potential issue that you're aware of? I would recommend just making a city at this point so we can start the discussion on it sooner rather than later.
Okay, and then I'll have my SC submit the city ticket. Should I point it to just Marcus Sim for summer readiness?
Yes, that would be great. Okay. And then
great.
Do it, and then the BRS is there, and you can take another look and then either resolve that city or leave it open and track whatever progress we make from there.
Understood. Thanks so much.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you. Any other questions that we can discuss here?
Yes, hi, Anshuman. This is Isaac SE.
Go ahead, Isaac.
I submitted a city ticket regarding scenario number 5, regarding how it's going to be dispatched in real time, and thanks for responding to that. I do have a question because we posted a scenario where if an RDR resource is dispatched by the operator as an exceptional dispatch, what those dispatches would look like. And just wanted to get some clarification if you have anybody on the call today that can answer to whether or not, in case of an exceptional dispatch for an RDR resource, will those resources also get startup instructions, and will those startup instructions come in a timely manner? Because we have, longer notification times for some of these programs. So how, we would like to simulate that scenario with the CAISO just to see what that would look like. But do you guys know what the system will do in those cases where RDRs are dispatched as an exceptional dispatch?
So
Hey, Isaac,
this is
thank you.
Alex.
Yes, go ahead,
I responded to your ticket. I hope you can pull it up, but in brief, yes, there will be startup shutdowns instructions sent over ADS for RDR resources, but not for all of them. For some of them, you will still get notifications for 5-minute dispatchable resources, so you may still get notifications that startups. There will be 15-minute resources and 60-minute resources. Those will be started or shut down by RTPD. So this is in brief answer for your question.
Sure. So if we register a resource that is 60 minutes or 30 or 15 minutes, we will get a startup instruction. However, in case the RDPD process runs and operators has to commit additional resources, my understanding is that those resources will be treated as exceptional dispatches, correct? And the question is, in those scenarios, will the system also generate startup instructions?
No, and for those type of situations, all functionality will be in place. So the same type of actions will be taken by operator. He will send notification, and then 5-minute dispatch will be sent out. So for market participant, it's very important to register resources correctly in master file. We start
No,
up
no, we,
notification time and what is the type resource, 60 minutes, 50 minutes, or 5, to ensure that proper startup instruction sent out from RTPD has to be either 60 or 15 minutes or 5 minutes. But there is also possibility that sometimes 5-minute dispatches will be sent as exceptional dispatch.
yeah, we understand, and we will, basically set up the RDTs for these resources correctly to reflect the startup time requirements. The question is, in case the RTP process run, and then CAISO operators deem that they need to commit additional resources, even though, so in those cases, it doesn't sound like the startup times will be honored, right? Like we won't get the startup instructions. If it's a manual run dispatch for an RDR resource, it doesn't sound like we will be getting startup instructions for those in that scenario. And what that means is that we will just get the 5-minute DOT.
Yes, very much to do.
Okay. Okay. Then we would like to simulate a scenario like that with the CAISO. What we're trying to do is automate as much as we can, right? So we're trying to take CAISO dispatchers and automate our downstream programs. And without the startup instruction, this may pose an issue for us. So we want to clearly understand what those what that may look like. Thank you.
Sure, we will try to send some additional dispatches every day. We set tight system condition. We will request additional dispatches. On your side, you need to submit bids for this type of resources, and they have to be not expensive, I guess. So software select them and send them out. Well, we'll figure out. We haven't seen software yet. We haven't tested it yet. Once we get it, we will have more information about it. So we'll be able to answer with more details.
Understood. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Isaac. Any other questions that we can take here? All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining the call. We'll see you back again on 3rd of May at 2 p.m.